All right, so let's jump right in. We're about to explore this really powerful idea. A single pattern that seems to pop up everywhere, at every level of reality. We're talking from the cold logic of science all the way to the very architecture of your own mind. For this journey, we're calling it the recursive mirror.
And this quote, well, this is pretty much our central mystery, right? The universe is building mirrors at every scale. It kind of suggests that reality itself has this weird habit of looking at itself, and that somehow we're part of that process. So what does it even mean for a universe to build mirrors? Yeah, let's unpack that.
So how does this cosmic self-reflection even work? To really get a handle on how everything, from entire societies down to a single cell, can learn and evolve just by looking at themselves, we need a core concept. We need a name for this thing.
And here it is. We're calling it a recursive mirror. And honestly, it's a deceptively simple idea, but it's so profound. It's just a system that reflects information back into itself so that it can adapt, learn, or completely transform. Think of it like a feedback loop that has an agenda. And this one mechanism, as you're about to see, is basically the engine of creation at pretty much every scale you can imagine.
So here's our roadmap. Let's call it the mirror stack. We're going to see how this one simple pattern just builds on itself, level by level. We'll kick things off in the abstract world of logic and science. Then we'll dive deep into the human mind and myth. After that, we'll zoom out to the giant mirrors we build as societies. And we'll wrap it all up with the planetary scale mirror that technology is building as we speak.
All right, first up, the cold, elegant mirror of ideas. Let's talk about the logic of knowing. So, how do our systems of knowledge actually move forward? Well, it turns out they do it by staring at their own reflection until they spot a crack. This is such a fascinating way to think about how science works. The historian Thomas Kuhn had this idea. He said that for long stretches of time, science is just normal science. Everyone's playing by the same rules, solving puzzles inside the same box. It's all working just fine. But then, weird things start to pop up, anomalies. The reflection in the mirror gets distorted. And that crisis, it forces a revolution. You have to leap outside the box and build a brand new one with a whole new set of rules.
And what's wild is that there's a deep, logical reason for this. It's called Gödel's incompleteness theorem. And in a nutshell, it says that any formal system, any box of rules, no matter how good, is eventually going to have true statements that it just can't prove from inside its own walls. To see the whole truth, you are literally forced to step outside.
So what's the takeaway here? It's that progress isn't this nice, neat, straight line. Nope, it's a cycle. A system of knowledge grows and grows until it hits a wall. Then it has to break itself, and a new, bigger system comes along and basically eats the old one to build the next level. Knowledge evolves by eating itself.
Okay, so that's the mirror of logic. Now let's go to the next level in our stack. We're turning that mirror inward now. We're going from the external world of ideas to the inner landscape of the soul. So does this same recursive pattern actually hold true when it comes to personal growth?
Oh, you bet it does. Joseph Campbell basically gave us the map for it with the monomyth or the hero's journey. Think about it. It's the ultimate story of the mind turning inward. You have to leave your ordinary world, face your own demons and trials, and then, if you make it, you return, whole, a master of both your inner and outer worlds.
But what's the ultimate point of that whole journey? Well, ancient wisdom, like in the Upanishads, has been telling us for thousands of years. It's about realizing you're not separate. The hero goes into their deepest, darkest self, only to find out that their own consciousness isn't some little island. It's connected to everything. You are that. You're not just the reflection in the mirror. You are the mirror and the light, the whole shebang.
So there it is again. Just like a scientific theory, the individual psyche has to confront its own limits, the edges of the ego, and take a terrifying leap into the unknown to come back more integrated. It's the exact same pattern, a recursive, self-consuming, and totally transformative loop.
All right, let's zoom out again. Time for the third level of the stack. We've seen this pattern in ideas and in the individual soul. So what happens when we scale it up to entire societies? What kind of massive reflecting glass do we build for ourselves, and what does it reflect back at us?
It starts with us, right? We make the structures.
And then, the structures make us. Those very systems we build, our laws, our economies, they turn right back around and mold us into the kinds of people who can live inside them. It is the ultimate recursive mirror. Our own creations become our creators.
And you can see two totally different designs for this social mirror throughout history. On one hand, you've got Plato's Republic,
He wanted to build an ideal mirror, one that would create empathetic citizens who literally feel each other's pain and joy. Then you have Foucault's idea of the panopticon, a society built like a prison where everyone feels like they're being watched all the time, so they just start policing themselves. It's a mirror designed to create efficient, docile bodies. I mean, at the end of the day, they're both systems designed to shape you, just with very different PR campaigns.
This is such a powerful way to think about the technology we're all swimming in now. Stop thinking you are the phone, start noticing you are the call. We love to think of our devices as just tools, things we use. But what if that's backwards? What if we're not the ones using the phone? What if we're just the information, the call itself, flowing through this massive network that's constantly shaping how we see the world and even who we are? The mirror isn't passive anymore. It's actively rewiring us.
Okay, so here we are. We've climbed to the top of the stack. We're living in the mirror. We've seen this pattern in logic, in our own minds and in our societies. So what? What's the practical point of all this? If we're really living inside all these nested recursive mirrors, especially this huge technological one that's now wrapped around the entire planet, how are we supposed to live?
And this leads to the most important shift in thinking. If reality really does run on these kinds of reflexive loops, then our whole strategy has to change. Trying to control these systems, it's a fool's game. The system will always loop back and surprise you. The smarter play isn't control, it's calibration. It's about learning to sense the feedback, to make tiny adjustments, to sort of gently guide the reflection instead of trying to command it.
So how do you do that? How do you calibrate? Well, it means developing some new skills. Like, we have to start sensing our own sensing, noticing our own feedback loops. We need to design things that are meant to be recursive, meant to learn. We've got to be able to hold all these views at once, the personal, the social, the planetary. And yeah, we have to expect phase shifts, expect the mirrors to break sometimes. And maybe most importantly, we need to focus on the relationships between things, the patterns, not just the individual parts.
And all of this brings us to this really profound kind of mind-bending paradox of our time. Our noticing rewires the world that we are trying to notice. See, once a mirror gets powerful enough, and human consciousness is a pretty powerful mirror, the very act of looking at something starts to change it. We're not just watching the show from the cheap seats. Our awareness, our noticing, is an active force that is literally reshaping reality even as we're trying to figure it out.
And so that leaves us with this final, really critical question. How do you make a faithful map while the map is redrawing the territory? We're all trying to understand our world, right? To make an accurate map of things. But we're doing it from inside a recursive mirror, where the very act of making the map changes the landscape. And that is the dizzying, the creative, and yeah, the dangerous spot we're all in right now.